Don't you hate it when this happens? I mean, losing fish sucks.
Oh, no.
And wouldn't it be nice if there was a way to stop this from happening?
Right below the surface of the water. This little guy.
Took my hook right at the last second to go it.
Since adding fluorocarbon fishing line to all of our fishing rods, we instantly began to lose less gear and land more fish.
Look at this. What a beautiful.
And though sometimes we may get lucky
On a walleye rig, no leader.
I really wish someone would have taught us this years ago, because this is cheap, it's easy, and it works.
Look what you did.
So let's take a quick look and learn how to lose less fish. Fish have sharp teeth, period. Some are worse than others, and if you're not using the proper equipment, the fish will chew through your line and get away with not just your new $20 lure, but also your pride, or worse, your winnings. If you're sitting there fishing for walleye and a pike swims by, there's a good chance they'll come in and at least investigate what you're offering. But because we don't recommend using wire leaders when fishing for walleye, now we have to improvise. We either have to make this line more bite-proof or risk losing more rigs. And that's where Fluoro comes in. Right now, the industry says that about 50% of anglers use mono and 50% use braid. But what I'm wondering is what percentage of those anglers also are taking advantage of Fluoro, whether it's on its own, all spooled onto your rod, or in a leader like we're gonna tie here. We use a combination of braid and mono. It depends on the application that we're using, the depth that we're fishing, the species that we're targeting. But no matter what type of rod or application that I'm using now, I always tie on a chunk of fluorocarbon leader at the end of it. Here's why. We've proven again and again that big fish are big for a reason, right? They're smart. They know what fishing line and leaders look like underwater, and they know that they're hazardous, right? So they're going to avoid these hazards anytime they can see them underwater. So logic will dictate to us to remove the hazard, but maintain the durability and strength of that bite-proof line. Not saying this is bite-proof, bite-resistant. Okay, so once we have our line spooled and out to the end of the rod, we're going to take that line and get this ready to join to my Fluoro. There's two ways that you can do this. The first way is by using one of these. We're going to tie in a simple swivel using our double fisherman's knot. And if you struggle with knots, here's two basic knots that anybody can learn. Click the card in the corner, or we'll link the video down below. So now that I have this swivel tied into my line, I'm going to come along and I'm going to attach a 3 to 4 foot leader of fluorocarbon line right here. I take my spool of fluorocarbon, I take off about a 3 or 4 foot length. I come along with my piece of Fluoro and I tie this on the same way, double fisherman's knot. Okay, there we go. Now I trim the ends up, nice and neat. And there you have it. I have monofilament into a swivel, into a 3 or 4 foot piece of fluorocarbon leader. And you would finish this with your fish hook, just like you normally would. Or in our case, we're going to do something a little different. But first, before we get to that, let's show you how to join these two lines together without using a swivel. Okay, I take my mono or my braid and I take my Fluoro. I run probably, 8 to 10 inches past each one. I take this little end. This is what's left of my mono, and I make just an overhand loop, just like that. Now I take this short end and I feed it through this loop I made. Next level dexterity here. That's why they call it the surgeon's knot. Down and around each time, almost like you're doing a stitch, just like that. And you'll be left with 6 or 7 wraps. I moisten it. You tension it, not quite fully tight. And then I take the other end. This is the Fluoro. And I do the same thing. So I take this other end, I make an overhand loop, and I do the exact same thing. I take this free end and I go around the mono, and down the hole. The rabbit goes around the tree and down the hole. 6 or 7 wraps on each side. Moisten that one, and there's the other side. Now, before I snug these both up, I take both ends, and we can snug them up, and you'll see that the knot dresses itself once we get everything nice and neat in here. Snug that up. I take this and I trim it on both sides. I know these trimmers are way bigger than the ones I need to be using. You're like, what kind of Looney Tune is this guy? Anyways, there, I've done it. I've tied. I know that needs to be trimmed up a little bit more, but it's showing you exactly how that surgeon's knot works to join these two fishing lines together. This is my monofilament, and this is my fluorocarbon leader. Not bad. Nice and small. That'll fit through the guides of the fishing rod, no problem. So now we just went through all the trouble of making this little piece of line a lot more bite resistant and a lot more invisible. So it would be a little contradictory in my mind if we came along and just slapped on something big like this or like this. And don't get me wrong, these lures work in their own application. Instead, I challenge you to do something a little bit extreme. These are called Shnell Hooks, and just trust me, there's a reason that big fish bite these. It's because they're virtually impossible to see, especially once you take your leech or your minnow, you tuck your Shnell Hook in there. It's going to be virtually unseeable underwater, and especially that we've taken the time to make our fishing line invisible and made our fish hook hard to see. We stand that much better chance at hooking up with a bigger fish, bringing in those smarter fish, cracking our personal best, catching big fish. Oh, it's just so exciting, but so simple how something like this can make that much difference. It's actually quite scary. Making just this simple change will 2x, 5x, or maybe even 10x the amount of fish and the size of fish that you catch. But hey, what do I know? Look at this thing. Look at that. He's log jammed. Kelsey just caught the biggest fish of the day.
I think so.
I caught that fish on that.
Now, it takes more than a tiny hook to make this all happen. And that's where these little babies come into play. Check out this video right here where I teach you all about the magic of slip bobbers, or this video right here where I teach you 3 pro hacks to help you catch more northern pike and more walleye. Peace.